So I've watched the first 3 episodes of the Bad Batch Season 3, that being Confined, Path Unknown, and Shadows of Tantiss. I'll be talking about each individual episode individually. Timestamps will be down below, and then I'll be talking about all 3 as a whole, so enjoy the video. So I have watched the Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 1, Confined. This is the premiere episode for Season 3, obviously. If you haven't seen my spoiler-free review, it will be linked in the cards and in the description. But let's just jump right on into it. I thought it was a great, spectacular episode, and it was a phenomenal season opening. And like I kind of mentioned in my spoiler-free review, this is really an Omega episode. We're learning about what's occurring now that she's been captured by the Empire and sent to Mount Tantiss to coerce Nala Se's cooperation in whatever experiment the Emperor wants. And considering Dr. Hemlock mentioned and this is now a definite spoiler, the M count, it has something to do with cloning Force sensitives. And while it seems like at some point they did experiment and at least, it didn't go wrong, the M count's not high enough as high as the original specimen. Now, who's that original specimen? Could that be Darth Sidious himself, or could it be somebody else? I'm not sure. But definitely one thing is, Dr. Hemlock is using Omega to coerce Nala Se by saying, hey, if you don't cooperate, if you don't get results, we may restrict some of the freedoms we've given to Omega and all that. And of course, to get Omega's cooperation, because, she's rebelling in the whichever way she can, she's going to see Crosshair, talk to him, trying to get his help and escape. Crosshair, like I said when I reviewed the clip from this episode that they released a week ago, is dejected. He basically feels defeated. Yes, he tells Omega he would leave her behind if he escaped, but I don't even think he's planning on escape. He feels defeated. That was especially clear in the first conversation. But when Omega, because one of her duties is feeding to the hounds, the dog-like creature that they are using to help guard the base. Guess what? I don't know, but no, doesn't want to eat the hound didn't want to eat the food. Also got injured. Omega's been giving that one extra care, but also as a result has domesticated it. So they were going to terminate it. So she releases him. Granted, that releases him, Betcha is what she called him, into the wild. And yeah, that may not be great for domesticated animal, but Omega says this, at least he has the chance. And when she said that, she looked at Emery. And that's vague, and I think that's going to be important for whatever's going to happen. She didn't look at Dr. Hemlock. She turned to look at Emery for that, wanting to emphasize to Emery that she also has a choice, a chance to choose the right thing to do. She did that purposefully. Because Hemlock also said to cause Omega's cooperation, especially after this evidence of defiance, said like, hey, if you don't cooperate, I may, hurt Crosshair in some way. So he's literally has a chain of threats. And granted, Crosshair's defeated, dejected. He's not getting re-educated. Dr. Hemlock definitely notes that's not working with Crosshair. Makes sense. Crosshair's part of the Bad Batch. It's going to take a lot to do that. But yeah, but Crosshair is cooperating. He's just not being re-educated like Dr. Hemlock wants. But regardless, Dr. Hemlock basically set up this chain of, hey, if you don't cooperate, I'll hurt this person. And if you don't cooperate, I'll hurt this person to get everyone cooperating. The thing is, that whole chain, once they all are resisting in their own way. Crosshair's resisting by not re-educating. Omega's resisting by small acts of defiance, by making her own Tuka dolls, so that way she's not lonely in her room. Nala Se by deleting and disposing of Omega's blood sample every single time it's taken. Those are all signs of defiance. And then at the end of the episode, Emery also has a sign of defiance. Because earlier at some point, like the midpoint of the episode, there's an inspection of Omega's room, and the Toka doll that Omega had made using some straw from where the hounds are kept is confiscated because it's a personal effect. Emery said she was going to dispose of it. She didn't. Now, granted, it may have only been a day, so she hasn't had a chance yet, but at the end of the episode, she gives it back to Omega. Omega's technically, under the rules, not supposed to have any form of personal effects, but Emery has shown some defiance, and I think that's going to be interesting. We got 3 characters of now, and by the end, 4, who are always showing some form of defiance. And definitely I would say Omega and I'll say are probably the 2 that probably didn't need any encouraging for the Defiant set. Probably if push came to shove, they might just do the right thing. Definitely Omega. But Emery and Crosshair, their characters could still go anyway. Crosshair could just totally give up. I don't think that's going to be the case. But it's going to be interesting to see which way Emery's character goes. Because Omega is appealing to her better sense. So who knows how that will turn out. But let's just get ready and we got the next episode coming up. So I've watched The Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 2, Paths Unknown. This is the second episode of the season, and the final season at that. And this picks up after Confined, and this episode, though, is instead of following Omega, we're following Wrecker and Hunter and what they've been doing. And what they've been doing, spoilers, is simple. They've been doing whatever they can to figure out where the Empire, where Hemlock took Omega. They got the lead from some Denvorians, and that led them to an old base that Hemlock had that, an experiment got out of control on that planet, but on the planet they do find 3 surviving clone cadets. I suspect all 3 of these we saw when they were transferring all the clones off Camino, my suspicion. But the experiments went out of control, the most famous being Slithervines, and the Empire destroyed their own base from orbit. And the clone cadets, I forget which one, but specifically mentioned the Empire ordered a base down to 0. I think that may be the first time we've had a on-screen call out of what the code order is for a orbital strike. It could be, but one of the clone cadets is like, you know what? They're looking to rescue a member of the squad. We're going to help them because these clones, they feel betrayed by the Empire. Feel betrayed by all the clones who left them behind, understandably. And so the other 2 are like, let's just get out of Phil, kind of. And they don't want to help, but the one does. And the one that the other 2 said was what they thought was a smart one. He is, because by helping them, it's actually helping all clones. He may not know that, but that's the case. But they go into the base, which is, it's creepy. I kind of wish they had a Jedi with them for this, because they needed a lightsaber with all the Slithervines and other grotesque creatures that Dr. Hemlock created in his experiments. And those Slithervines, which are like half vine, half snake. But anyhow, they find the one remaining intact console and they power it up using Gonki. So Gonki has finally played a role in a story. It makes sense he was going to do it eventually. But that's a nice long hanging thread that I'm glad has paid out. But they get only some of the data. They don't get everything, but probably even if they got every piece of data they needed, the exact coordinates of Mount Tantiss was not going to be on there, but they did get a sector. Now, they barely escaped with their lives, and that's because there was a Sarlacc under the base. And thankfully the other 2 clone cadets do come to the conclusion that to rescue them probably helps that their brother sends them a message saying, hey, we need help. And they were already on board the Haver at the time because they hotwired it and were thinking, okay, I have a feeling that the one who assumed the leadership role, I suspect he wasn't going to leave until it was like the last possible moment they could. I just had that suspicion. But they do rescue, and that includes having a big explosion in the mouth of the Sarlacc, which is crazy. But okay, this is probably also the most creepy depiction of a Sarlacc ever. Probably has to do with the fact that the whole atmosphere was night, it was dark, everything around it was grays and blacks, and the Sarlacc was grays and blacks. Definitely nothing like the Sarlacc on Tatooine. But it was creepy and a little bit wholesome, and I think that was part of the point. But at the same time, I wish they had a Jedi with them, because the Jedi would be able to sense, and their lightsaber would have been so great for slashing at things. I'm just saying, even if they just had a lightsaber, that would be beneficial. But they do leave, and they're going to drop the 3 clone cadets someplace safe in Island. That's going to be Pabu. So they'll have those 3 young clones are going to have an opportunity to decide for themselves what they're going to do that now that they can't be soldiers, even though they were trained to be soldiers, and that's all they know. And when the clone cadets asked about them, Hunter said that their mission is not over yet, as the camera pans to the Tokodar that, well, first it was Records, then it became Omega's, which is still in the back area, which became Omega's bedroom in a sense. So Until they rescue Omega, they know what they're going to do. And that's, I think, where the past unknown part of the title comes in. These clone cadets, their path is unknown. They have the whole galaxy ahead of them. They still have to be careful for the Empire, but the galaxy is ahead of them. They have their path is unknown. And while Wrecker and Hunter know what their path is currently, that being rescuing Omega, their path after that is unknown. But that's where I'm going to conclude this review. Let me know what you thought of Paths Unknown in the comment section down below. And we're going to be moving on to the next episode, Shadows of Tantiss, so stay tuned for that. So I've watched The Bad Batch Shadows of Tantiss, the third episode of the third and final season. And in case you don't want to be spoiled, I did release a spoiler-free review earlier today. It will be linked in the cards and in the description. But just to recap, another phenomenal episode, and this one continues from where Confined left off, rather than where Paths Unknown. But that is only because instead of following Hunter and Wrecker, we are now following Omega and Crosser once again. So in this episode, we pick up where stuff left off, obviously, like I said, with Confined. And this is the episode where Omega and Crosser make their attempt to escape. I actually expected this to be later in the episode. But the Emperor comes to visit, and Narase tells Omega that since to take your time to escape now. Now, I don't think Narase knew the Emperor was going to be visiting, because, yeah, I don't think she knew that. But the thing is, because of the visit of the Emperor, Narase is being forced to greet him alongside Dr. Hemlock. That means Emery is going to be running the blood samples. That means Narase won't be in the lab to discard Omega's sample like she's been doing all this time. And that is important because Emery is not involved, does not know that Narase has been doing this. And yeah. And so Omega makes her escape now. She also does get Crosser, which is a good thing that she did because she couldn't do it by herself, especially since all the charges were locked down because of the Emperor's visit. And when Crosser heard two clones saying, yeah, well, double duty until all the one of the TK troopers, not one of the clones, one of the TK troopers comment that they're on basically overtime double duty until the Emperor leaves. He's like, the Emperor is here, great. Yeah, but I gotta say, when Crosser is a little frustrated that Omega hadn't planned to escape out fully, but at the same time, like, the way he distracted those TK troopers that were guarding his cell, like, he just basically, like, you know what? He did. I don't think he rolled his shoulders, but like he stood up straight and he basically ordered them around, and they kind of were amused by it, but I distracted them, and that was a good distraction. But they do escape, and they actually through the candles where those hounds were being kept. That's the method that they got out, because since they couldn't get a shuttle, because the only one that was not grounded was the Emperor's shuttle, and they knew they couldn't steal that, so they go out there. Granted, they escape, but barely, because guess what? Emmy confronts them, and sounds the alarm, but she didn't. But again, she doesn't know everything that's going on. Who knows how she would if she actually knew? Who knows how much she knows or doesn't know, and where her loyalties lie is still all up in the air. She showed some compassion in Confined, but a little sign of resistance. But at the same time, I don't think she fully understands everything that's going on. It's hard to say. She hasn't had a full change of heart yet. No. And that could be a big weakness for Dr. Hemlock's plans and his own seek for power. But the thing is, like, that, and this is right after the Emperor left, so probably Hemlock is a bit like, he's glad that the Emperor's already gone, but at the same time, so he orders the ratios and the cannons to be deactivated to hopefully trap them. Doesn't work, they get out, and they go to find that crash shuttle from Confined, because hopefully they could get some communication out. That doesn't work, but because of all the word I'm looking for is the TK troopers and clone command sent to find them. That means ships are going out there, and they use Plan 72 to steal a ship, and both of them, and also the hound that Omega befriended / domesticated. The name also I forgot. I remember when I talked about Confined, but not for here. Happens. But they all see them get out, and they're being pursued by V-Wings. But this is a key thing. So there's the thing that's been testing the blood samples of all the clones. Omega's now in there, so every now and then we pan the shot transfer there, and we see Omega sample move one, just like a clock, and that's the purpose why they designed that way. And then we get to Omega's, and it gives the success. What they've been looking for has occurred. the M counts were not reduced when interacting with Omega's blood. Now Nalase knew this. That's why she was getting rid of Omega's blood sample so this wouldn't happen. And when Nalase knew she was going to be there to dispose of that, she told Omega, "This is your one chance to escape because I'm not going to be there to destroy your blood sample. What they're looking for, they will find." And they do. Now, this also means they can't shoot down the shuttle Crosshair and Omega stole. So that is a bit of a setback because now Tantiss is going to be known the location. But at the same time, Hemlock now needs Omega alive. So that's going to probably impact. So the question is, in the following episodes, how soon will it be before Crosshair and Omega meet back up with Rekko and Hunter? Is it going to be the next episode? Is it going to be in a few other episodes? Is it going to take them some time to reconnect? I don't know, but hey, Omega didn't need any help escaping. She was taught well by the Bad Batch. And I gotta say, does Crosshair know that Tech is dead yet? I honestly don't know. I really don't know because I wish I knew for sure. Because the thing is, when Crosshair asked Omega if she knew what Plan 72 was, she said yes. Tech had to memorize them all, and Crosshair said, of course he did. Now, they used the past tense, but at the same time, they're talking about about learning stuff from Tech in the past. Did you learn these plans? So that's still going to be the past tense. But the question is, does Crosshair know that Tech is dead yet or not? I honestly don't know. And I'd be interesting to find out if he does. But one last thing I would like to add is this. There's one project that the Emperor wants Hemlock to create, and this is going to involve Omega's blood, M counts, and it's called Project Necromancer. I'm pretty sure it's connecting with some of the stuff Moff Gideon was doing in the Mandalorian, things involving Grogu. And perhaps maybe they used Grogu because they couldn't find Omega. I mean, it's possible. Maybe Omega's the reason why Grogu got involved in all of this and some stuff. I don't know. We don't know. And that's exciting. I don't think there's going to be any direct connections to the Mandalorian, but it would be neat if it does happen. But that's all I got for this episode for Shadows of Tantiss. Oh, and can I say the hound that Omega befriended Betcha, now that I remember, he also helped them escape too because they used his candle to get out, but also because he helped distract the troopers to help them Omega steal the shuttle and Crosshair get on board as well. And especially good because Crosshair, his hands are still shaking. He's not as steady as he used to be. And Omega actually comments on this, that his hands are getting worse. And there's a time where he does try to do a precise shot and he misses. So Crosshair is broken in many ways. But I think he's now going to be on the path to recovery. But that is truly where I'm going to end. But I would love to hear your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on Shadows of Tantiss in the comment section down below. So now that I've taken a look at each individual episode, Confined, Paths Unknown, and Shadows of Tantiss, what did all these three episodes say? And I think the important thing is this is setting up the season as a whole. The first few episodes show us what Crosshair and Omega are up to. This next two, Paths Unknown, is showing what Hunter and Rekko are up to. So basically, and also gives us insight into whatever Dr. Hemlock is doing, and that continues into Shadows of Tantiss, where Omega and Crosshair make their escape. And so basically, you could probably, if you cut it slightly differently, because I'm pretty sure some events occurred simultaneously with what Rekko and Hunter were up to, that this would essentially be like a big made-for-television movie if it was broadcasted. You could probably cut it that way if you really wanted to. But each episode was arranged in such a way and scenes chosen for a reason. There's a reason why they didn't cut back between the two, because of the stories they wanted to tell and how they wanted to tell those stories. These three stories definitely should have been told at the same time, at the release all together, but to take scenes from them, let's say they made Confined and Paths Unknown at the same time, it wouldn't have worked, because the thing is that us in the audience watching it are unknown what's happening to the other set of the Bad Batch, just like whichever set we're watching doesn't know what the other set is up to. That's amazing. in Confined. We know what Crosshair and Omega are up to because we are watching. But like them, we are in the dark about Wrecker and Hunter. Now in Past Unknown, we are seeing now what Wrecker and Hunter are up to. They are in they don't know. They are in the dark about what it has happened to Omega and Crosshair. Now they are looking for Omega. They're probably not really seeing Crosshair because they have no idea what's going on with him. But they do know much. They told that he told them to protect Omega, but that's really about it. So they do know maybe, but they still in the dark of what's going on with both of them. Just so they know they need to find Omega and they may find Crosshair, but Omega is definitely their priority. Now we are not no longer as much in the dark as they are, but we're equally in the dark about what's ultimately going on. And then we come to Shadows of Tantiss, where we are no longer in the dark about why the Empire, why Hemlock wants Omega, and why Nalase has been protecting Omega. We now know that. And that means we're going to be, in the next couple episodes, we're going to be seeing the Bad Batch get all back together, some heartfelt reunions and all that, so we are going to be seeing that. And then it's going to be protecting Omega from the Empire, and maybe helping all the clones as well. Those are going to be the two main plots. What's happening with the clones and perhaps the Clone Rebellion, and protecting Omega from the Empire. The question is, how is it going to end? I think it's going to be tragic. I think it's going to be bittersweet. But at the same time, I think, because we know whoever Project Name Commander is, it doesn't succeed. Because if it did, I think the Rise of Skywalker would have been very, very different. I don't think Grogu would have been involved as well. But he might have been, because Omega escapes. It's possible. I said that when I talked about Shadows of Tantiss. I do think that's still a possibility. So I think what we are going to see is that the episode's going to end with a confrontation probably between the Bad Batch and Dr. Hemlock. That's probably where the season's going to end. And the surviving members of the Bad Batch, because I wouldn't be surprised if we see any more deaths. But I think it's going to end up with Dr. Hemlock no longer being in the picture, but the Empire's research still continuing, just in a new form. But that's speculation. That I could be wrong, but that's a general trend I see. And I made it so general I could easily be correct and wrong at the same time. But you know what? I would love to hear from you. I want to hear what you thought of all three episodes: Confined, Paths Unknown, and Shadows of Tantiss. Where do you think the season is going to be heading from here? How the show is going to end? I would love to hear from you, because I'm pretty sure our hearts will break, because there's no doubt about it. Based off of some of the tweets that the composers have made, yeah, I think it's going to be heartbreaking. But then again, Star Wars music often is heartbreaking, especially in these anime shows. They really like tugging on the heartstrings. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. I do appreciate you checking out my review. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And feel free to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you always. Thank you for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give this video a like, as well as subscribe to my channel and ring that bell to stay up to date on my latest content. Also, be sure to check out the link tree in the description, as well as any other links I have down there.